Penny Hardaway, much like Grant Hill, much like Derrick Rose, much like Len Bias, are guys that we look back on with an unfortunate reality of knowing that their careers were cut short. Len was obviously the overdose, but Grant, Penny, Derrick, guys like that had injury bugs that they just could not get over. And I'm not trying to say like they couldn't get over it and they just were garbage the rest of their career. No, Derrick Rose is still doing good for himself. Penny still managed to do okay for himself, and Grant ended up being pretty solid. But compared to what they could have and should have been and would have been had it not been for the injuries, all of them having leg problems, it's comparable to that. We're trying to say we wish they would have stayed healthy and got the best version of themselves rather than what we're getting now with, you know what I mean? And it's unfortunate. There's nothing they can do about it. You know, it's injuries. It happens. But Penny Hardaway is a massive what if because he had the entire skill set. The three-pointer was eventually going to come and go. But around that time in the NBA, the play style wasn't where it's like now, where you're jacking up 9 threes a game. Penny was not a big three-point scorer. But everything else, he was pretty dang solid at. First 3 years in the NBA, about 20 a game with 5 rebounds and 7 assists. Throw in about a steal and a half, 2 steals, and he shot almost 50% from the field. First 3 years, that's 20 points a game, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, and you're shooting well from the field. And you're a solid defender. That right there could have been enough to keep his head above water and be a good to great point guard for most of his career. But unfortunately, by 1997, 4 years deep at this point, his legs were really giving up on him. And add to the fact that he got shot in the foot when he was in college. I think it was his cousin's house or his house. I can't really remember the story. Obviously, he got it fixed up and he came back from that, but that can also be a big problem down the line is you got shot in your foot. You know what I mean? It probably isn't completely pain-free. So, but yeah, his knee injuries were just really brutal, especially after Shaq with Orlando. Shaq dipped in 96. Penny, I imagine Penny assumed he had to fork the load and be the guy going forward, especially considering what they gave up to get Penny in the first place, trading Chris Webber on draft night for him to Golden State. But yeah, unfortunately for Penny, he couldn't even show what he was able to do as the first option because his knees were just giving up on him. And he had a little bit of a comeback tour, a little bit in the early 2000s with Phoenix, helping them beat down the Spurs a couple times. But unfortunately, it wasn't meant to last. Especially as you get older, your injuries, you got to imagine it's not going to get better. It's only going to get worse. You're just ailing all the time. So, again, yeah, first 3 years in the league were really good, and it was a preview of what we were going to get. But yeah, after the knee problems, again, it just got worse and worse and worse for him. And credit to him, though. He lasted, I think it was 14 years in the league with really bad legs. You know, he made all the money he possibly could. He established himself as one of those guys that could have been a lot better had he not been injured all the time. And now he's coaching Memphis basketball, which is actually really cool because I believe he's from that area. So very cool indeed. Loved Penny's game. Loved how he played. Loved how he knew what his strengths were and just went with those. He didn't let you see his weaknesses because he wouldn't be in that mindset to really go like you can say he played safe, but he played in a smart way, and he was just a hyper athletic 6'7" guard that was capable of doing whatever he wanted to. And unfortunately for injuries, much like Grant Hill and Derrick Rose, they took their toll and ruined what could have been a great career. So Penny Hardaway definitely is a legendary basketball player, especially pre-injury, but what could have been is definitely associated with him all the time. Penny Hardaway was a monster.